SSMI? Are you on state assistance? Where do you live? Make sure it's legal where you live. Any kind of criminal background, things like that. And then we'll either pre-approve them or disqualify them based on that information. If we pre-approve them, we'll send them a link to fill out a complete profile. So that's going to be everything about their fertility history, their reasons for wanting to become a surrogate. Are they, stay-at-home mom, or do they work full-time, things like that. And so you will be able to look at that profile when we have the surrogate available for you to view. You'll receive her profile to find out a lot about her. We'll go over that profile in depth with her when we call her. We'll do what we call a phone screening. We'll ask things about like termination and reduction. If she puts yes, as for an example, yes, I'm willing to terminate or reduce. We want to know under what circumstances that might be. Is this only if your life is at risk, or are you going to terminate for something like Down syndrome? Are you going to want to reduce if you become pregnant with triplets? Those are things to us that, it's very rare that those things happen, but in the event that they do, we definitely want both sides to be on the same page. Very, very important. We ask about communication. Are you looking to have a really close relationship with your intended parents, or are you just kind of doing this to help somebody that's really not conducive to your lifestyle, to be able to have a close relationship? You're busy, you've got your kids, your family, things like that. And we, again, want to make sure that that's in line with what you want. And then you would talk to me and tell me what your criteria is. Part of my job is to make a match. Basically, as many profiles as you need to review to find that surrogate. That's my job. I'll do a little pre-screen after our discussion and find out, are you concerned about location, where she lives, and whether or not she's a stay-at-home mom, and your feelings on termination and reduction. And obviously, is she willing to work with same-sex parents? I'd say the majority of them definitely are. These are very selfless women who have just experienced the joy of parenthood and really, really want to help another family have that as well. So, and then after we thoroughly review that profile, we've done a phone screening, then we ask the surrogate to send in all of her medical records from her past pregnancies and deliveries, And she'll send those in up to 7 to 10 years, depending on what she's able to get. If she's towards the later age, I think 38 is our cutoff there. We definitely want her to have a healthy pregnancy and delivery within the last couple of years. We don't allow more than 5 pregnancies or 3 C-sections, and that's pretty much the standard for most of the clinics that you'll be working with. And a lot of our criteria is in line with some of the strictest clinics in California and other states. But we will send all the surrogates' medical records over to your doctor for pre-approval. So, you're not going to just go into this having no idea whether or not your doctor's going to work with her. We want to explore all those avenues and make sure that, that we're setting you up for the best possible scenario. Because it doesn't benefit us at all to have all those bumps in the road. It just means more work for us too. So we definitely want this to go as smoothly as possible. After we've reviewed all of the medical records, one of our nurses, we have 2 nurses on staff who both worked in fertility. They thoroughly review all the pregnancy and delivery records, and they'll give us the yay or the nay. At that point, we will send the surrogate for a psychological evaluation. We have several psychologists all over the country that we work with. We'll send her for an in-person screening, which includes an MMPI or a PAI test, and they're basically a personality assessment that she'll have to do in addition to usually a 2-hour consult with the psychologist. Her and her partner or spouse or significant other, they'll have to go through that psychological screening. And then we'll also do a background check. And this is strictly a criminal background check. It's not financial, but we are looking for, obviously, any past criminal record. We don't have requirements as far as whether the surrogate is a stay-at-home mom or a full-time, employee if she's working. Some people do have criteria for that. They want a stay-at-home mom, or they want somebody who works, who's able to financially support themselves. Obviously, that's very important to us. So as long as the surrogate is financially stable, it does have support from friends and family, which is just as important to us as medical records. The psychology part of all of this is extremely important. We've definitely had some women who have had some rough times during their surrogacy process, whether it's strictly hormonal because they're taking all of these medications and they're pregnant and they're trying to deal with their 2 young kids screaming in the next room. We want to make sure that this surrogate has somebody that they can rely on, that they can go to if they're having problems, just any kind of emotional problems. And the case manager, we're also there for the surrogates 24/7, and I mean that 24/7. We really are. My surrogates always have my personal cell phone number, and they use it all the time, which is fine with me. I realize this isn't a 9-to-5 job, and that's part of our dedication to these women in this process. We also do support groups in Colorado, Texas, Southern California, and Northern California. So they're in-person support groups with a case manager where we all get together, have lunch. The girls talk to us about their journey, where they are right now. It's a place where they really feel like they can be open and honest about what they're going through. It may not be to you as the intended parent. They may not be letting you know that they're having a rough day, but they feel pretty comfortable telling us, and that's what we're there for. So I think that's really important for them to know that they have that support as well. Once we've done the psychological screening and background check, then we approve the surrogate. So we basically make her available. We do have a priority list program. There is a wait currently. I'm generally telling intended parents 3 to 4 months for surrogates in specific locations, such as California. I'm sure you've heard that all day, as well as other states in the Northwest and Colorado. I think generally those are probably the 2 biggest states. And then actually on the East Coast, there are some intended parents looking for specific, locations on the East Coast that we don't get as many applications from. But generally speaking, 3 to 4 months before you would start receiving profiles. There's no limit to how many profiles you can review or how many match meetings we'll do for you. We just want it to be a good fit for both sides. We would do a match meeting if you did find a surrogate that you were interested in, and we would talk, so you would have me or somebody in my position on the line with you to facilitate the meeting. Ask all the important questions. Make sure that you're on the same page with termination and reduction, communication. I know there was a comment made earlier that she's not your service provider. You can't tell her not to drink Mountain Dew or not do yoga. Okay, and that's true in a sense. She's not your service provider, but there's definitely some things that people feel strongly about with their surrogate. I'd really like you to avoid this activity after the first trimester, or things like that, or maybe not travel in your last trimester of pregnancy, or maybe take specific prenatal vitamins or things like that. And you'd actually be amazed by some of the requests I've had from intended parents. I think people are moving more into the organic and the green products and things like that. But most surrogates are more than happy to oblige and do whatever you'd like them to do within reason to help us be a successful pregnancy and keep you happy. That's really important too. There's a lot of communication. We tell the surrogates you absolutely have to let the intended parents know when you're going to the appointment, what time your appointment is, the location of your appointment. Give them enough time, notice to know if to set it up so that they can go with you if that's important to them to be there. So we want to keep those lines of communication open. In the rare situation that there's not very good communication or not a good relationship, the agency is definitely there as the liaison to help facilitate that, smooth out any issues that you may have. So I think it's really important when you're, thinking about independent versus working with an agency, you need to think about things like that. If we get to kind of a rough patch where we don't agree on something, is there going to be somebody to mediate that situation for us? So that's a big part of what we do. I say psychology. I've had people ask me if I have a degree in psychology, which I do not. I feel like I do now. I've been doing this for 5 years. I should. But it's definitely rewarding. Most amazing thing I've done in my life. I was a surrogate myself in 2010, and I absolutely adore the little girl that I gave birth to and the parents, and we built such a wonderful relationship. And my kids still call her Baby Sophie, even though she's 5, but they call her that, and they just adore her as well. So it was the most amazing thing, honestly. Aside of having my own children, it was really great. So it's another thing to keep in mind. These surrogates are selfless. They're genuine with their commitment to you. They really, really want to help you. They've experienced parenthood and that love that you can only have for a child. It's just amazing, and they definitely want to help others have that same experience. So they're just as excited about working with you as you are with them. I haven't touched too much on the donor process. Yes, let's talk about donor. We do AMH test our donors. So, we'll do that up front so that your doctor knows what the EMH level is. Generally, we want to see it between 2 and 9. It's a blood test that the donors will do beforehand. We'll have that on their profile if it's available. Some of our donors that we've had on the roster for a couple of years may not have that test done. We've just started doing that a couple of years ago. So we will definitely send them for the AMH test. If they've done a previous cycle, they will have had those the AMH test and the FSH test done through the clinic. So you will be able to get an overview of the cycle results. So if it's a proven donor, we will send you all the information that we have. Eggs retrieved, how many were fertilized, what was the quality, was there a positive pregnancy that resulted, with the clinic and the date that the donation was done. You can always ask us. When the cycles are not with the agency, they've done cycles with other agencies, sometimes we're a little limited on the records that we can get, and it's just a matter of what the clinic wants to send to us. But we have everything that they send to us, we note their profiles with it, and we send it all to your doctor. So your doctor will be able to take a look and see maybe what the protocol was, to help with her stimulation for this next cycle. Any questions on
AMH?
AMH? Anti-Mullerian hormone test. It basically tests their ovarian reserve. So it's not really testing their ability to conceive in the future. It's giving the doctor an idea of what her egg production or what her egg yield will be. So it gives kind of a picture, an estimate. It's kind of like looking at the lining of a surrogate's uterus before it transfers. There's no guarantee that it's going to be a success, but they want to look at it and make sure it's optimal before they move forward. And the low end doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have a low egg quality, just like the high doesn't mean, that it's going to be an amazing number of eggs. But it does help, and just another piece in the puzzle to help the doctor see and recommend whether or not this donor would be a good candidate. You can register on our website for free. You can look at all of our donors on our database. Fertility Source Companies is our website. Here are my cards if you'd like to have one. And you can go on there, just search by criteria, whatever you're looking for in your donor. We have a couple different programs available. We do have a guarantee program as well. We can certainly work with you as far as if there's ever a rematching process with another donor. It's not common, but it does happen sometimes where maybe a donor won't clear her medical screening. So we work with you until we find a donor that's cleared and you can get to retrieval. Same with the surrogacy side. We want to see that end result. We want to see a great donor cycle. We want to see a successful surrogacy cycle. So, yeah.
If you go with the desynchronized between the egg donor and the surrogate, how far apart can you stretch that process? The fertilized embryo.
Like finding one and the other and then having them sync up. It really it's a matter of how long each of them are willing to wait. We've, definitely had couples find an egg donor first and then they agreed to wait until a surrogate was found, and the other way around too. I talked to a couple of people today where I said, don't, bank on the whole, have to sync it up, have it be a fresh cycle kind of thing. You have a lot of options. If you find your donor next week, but you're not quite ready to select your surrogate, you can do a cycle with your donor and they can freeze the embryos. So, that's something that you would want to talk to your doctor about, no medical background at all, but we do a lot of cycles that way. A lot of intended parents come to us with frozen embryos already at their clinic. Whether, it same-sex couples or, women who have had their eggs frozen or their embryos frozen and they're ready to, go through that process with a surrogate because their IVF wasn't successful. So that's just something to consider, if you want to take care of that part of the process now and, maybe a few months down the road, even if, you wanted to take advantage of the waiting list program and get on there as soon as possible so that you can have a plan to find your surrogate in 3 or 6 months. That's a really good way to start.
How long would your agency maximum kind of say our maximum for that? Or if we say the first one to the IVF frozen embryo and then want to wait a year or longer, that would still be fine with your agency?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's really based on what your life plan is and how you want to go through this journey, and we're going to tailor our services to fit your needs. So if that's something that you can tell us up front that we're going to go ahead and proceed with this now, and then we'll get back in touch with you when we're ready for the surrogacy part of it, absolutely no problem. And as far as I'm concerned, the day you contact me is the day I start going to work for you. Whatever you need from me from that point on, I'm here to help you with that. And I can speak for all of my colleagues when I say that. We're all very, very dedicated to our intended parents, and we invest in each other in a sense, and we're really looking for that end result. So however you want to go about your journey, tailored to fit your needs, absolutely. We just let us know, so we can do our power to help you with that. And certainly not a problem at all. There's no maximum amount of time. If you want to have a relationship with us for that long, absolutely, we'd be happy to. So, get to know each other really well. Any other questions? No? All right. Like I said, I have some business cards up here. It does have our website. It also has my cell phone number, which is my work number. You can call me anytime if you have questions. If you want to submit a profile online, like I said, there's no charge. If you want to just put some notes in the comments section that we met at Men Having Babies conference. We are offering a 10% discount off of our agency fee for anyone who found out about us through this conference. So just keep that in mind when you're researching agencies. I know there's a lot of information out there today, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of homework to do and things to review, but yes, we're good. Yes, so thank you all so much for coming in.